A demon corrupting their prey could be a way of garnishing a soul, because there is nothing worse than flavourless soul food. Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Cosy Reads. I hope you've all been keeping well. Thank you to everyone for joining in on today's story. In today's story, we'll be continuing the reading of Regalion, learning more about the demon that accompanies Max, how they met, and where their story went from there. I hope you enjoy this video and enjoy where this story is going. For now, the story is focused on exposition and learning a little bit more about the main trio before delving into the story itself. So make sure to stick around as we dive into an exciting story filled with adventure, love, loss, courage and betrayal. And like always, without further ado, let's dive in. Butrid is the other being that, for want of a better word, helps Max in his usual dealings as a Reaper. However, most of the time, Butrid is a sarcastic, lazy, gluttonous creature that decides when he wants to work. But then again, you wouldn't expect anything less from a being that draws traits from each of the 7 deadly sins. Anyway, there is not much to explain about Butrid, other than he used to have a full-on physical form, and Max found him attacking a village near Nobiseg, so Max decided to head out to the village and stop him. Butrid ended up calling Max a pipsqueak, and he laughed at the thought of Max stepping up to him. Max is not the tallest guy around, but he is still 5'6", and Butrid was standing at 10 feet tall, so yeah, he had the size advantage by a mile. But that old saying, do not judge a book by its cover, well, Butrid never got the memo, as he decided that it would be fun to attack him anyway. The fight lasted a minute, with Max dodging his attack, and then using his sword he was able to slice Butrid in two. Luckily for him, an old resident of the village had given Max a lantern that was able to trap demons rather than kill them. It allowed the user to draw on that demon power, but it was dangerous to use because trying to control a demon's power is highly inadvisable. So when Max split him in half, the lantern responded and drew him in, trapping Butrid's power inside the lantern. At first, Butrid was annoyed, but after a while, they became friends, or as close to friends as you can be with a being that corrupts and eats people for a living. It seems that Butrid and Max have a sort of mutual respect, though Butrid would tell you otherwise. So that's the backstory of Max's little team, and to further explain what a demon is a creature from another world that came through a rift in time and space that was opened a long time ago and arrived in Max's world. They survive by taking over and corrupting the minds of living beings, turning them violent, lustful, greedy, etc. Then once the individual is fully corrupted, they devour the soul of the individual. A demon corrupting their prey could be a way of garnishing a soul, because there is nothing worse than flavourless soul food. Anyway, let's get back into the story. Now that the introductions are done, let's take a closer look at the stories that intertwine these characters, and the events that led to the end of days. So Celeste had made quite the spread that morning. For whatever reason, she had decided that she wanted to cook a breakfast fit for a king. That was enough to get Max out of bed. He rushed over to the living room, lunged at his chair, and just allowed his mouth to water with the prospect of eating a delectable breakfast. There was everything a grown boy could want. Crispy bacon, scrambled eggs, cooked to fluffy perfection, delectably soft pancakes smothered in warm maple syrup, and truly divine sausages that you just couldn't stop eating. The smell was extraordinary. It smelled like he had died and gone to heaven. His nose being tickled and enticed every time he took a breath. He was so excited that he needed to eat. He got ready to dive in, only for Celeste to move the food away, saying, you know the rules. Before every meal, we must... She prompted him to finish the sentence, which got him thinking of one of the only downsides of having a girl that is a literal angel with you, is that you can't do anything without praying first. Oh, and for those wondering how heaven and hell are so prevalent in Max's world, it is because heaven and hell are interdimensional. However, they are perceived in different ways depending on which dimension you are in, meaning that the heaven and hell that the people of Max's world would perceive would be different to the one that you would perceive in your dimension. Pray. Yeah, I got it. But can we at least finish before the food gets cold this time? Max mumbled while putting his hands together for prayer. While he was never completely religious, he was not against it either, as he had 2 obvious reasons to believe in religion. But that does not mean that he needs to be happy when it gets in the way of him and his food. A rule he had always believed in is to never get in the way of a man and his food. Unless it's Celeste stopping you, then you just gotta do what she says. Anyway, they prayed, and once they were done, he could feel his belly calling to him, asking why he was just staring at the food, telling him to get to eating, and that's exactly what he did. Max remembered it being one of the best meals he'd ever had. If he could regurgitate it all and then eat it again, he would, without shame. To describe how good it was in writing is impossible. Just trust that after eating that breakfast, no other food would taste the same, because nothing would ever come close to how flavoursome that breakfast was. Once he had finished eating, he got cleaned up, dressed, and headed off to the university. He arrived at the library, found a desk, sat down, got his energy drink and his books, and sat there for about 5 minutes staring at his study essentials. He sat there lost in thought on the life choices he made to arrive at the point where he was sitting at a library, resenting life and about to study. And that was when he met her. The girl that would change everything. The girl that kick-started this whole thing and the reason why he failed. This is no love story. There is no happy or sad ending, just bittersweet and grey. And ultimately Max did not make the inevitable choice to sacrifice himself for her, but rather for the greater good. And that brings chapter 2 of this story to an end. I hope you've all enjoyed this story, and if you are interested in where this story goes, feel free to stick around, as my goal, like I said before in my last video, is to read the whole of Regalion on my channel. Or, again, you can check out Regalion on Amazon if you enjoy reading it in book form, or if you wanted to read it as a Kindle, or if you just wanted to read it yourself, basically, then you can get it on Amazon. So, what did you think of the depiction of angels and demons in this world? Having both an angel and a demon as roommates can be quite intense, but luckily for Max, both Celeste and Butrid are accommodating in their own way. So let's see how their story develops, and what the future holds for our trio. And with that, I hope you have all sufficiently warmed up, and that this story has brought you some level of comfort. I wish you safe travels on the journey of life, and feel free to come back again whenever you need a new story to warm your day.